Hey, how's it going? This is Brandon, and I uploaded a video earlier about Ash versus the Evil Dead, and unfortunately, somehow uploading it got botched. So, the issues I had were the first whole minute of my video was cut out completely. The second half of the video was uploaded twice, meaning the video where it's supposed to end ended, and then it played the second half again, which is baffling. So, what the video was just an initial reaction to my watching of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, and my thoughts, concerns, whether or not I recommended it. I am not much of a film critic or a TV show critic, um, as some YouTubers. I don't do this for a living. I don't make money off of it at all. Uh, it was just a kind of nerd's reaction to it, and it was a pretty good video in its original form. Uh, so I just want to, since it uploaded incorrectly and had all these issues, give my thoughts again. Now, my thoughts were when I first saw the advertisements for Ash vs. the Evil Dead was extreme excitement. I'm a big fan of the horror genre, um, and B flicks. I love B flicks. Uh, they have this kind of quirky quality to them that you don't get in big Hollywood productions. A lot of the effects are, your practical effects as opposed to your big special effects, CGI, all that, uh, which I actually prefer. I prefer practical effects over CGI, so take that with a bit of a grain of salt. Don't get me wrong, there are movies that do CGI really well, you know, and they're good movies. Um, Not knocking CGI, but I personally prefer it because I come from an era where there wasn't much CGI. Most effects were practical effects, and in my opinion, it made it look a bit more realistic. I don't want to. I don't know how you describe it. Uh, it's something about the fact that you have somebody who went through a transformation through makeup, through prosthetics, through all these different uh, procedures. Not procedures, they're not having surgery, but all these different things that they do to alter the way that they look so they look the part. You know, in for instance, a show that I really like that I watch every Sunday is The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead uses a lot of practical effects for the zombies. Although the last two episodes, I believe, of this season, they used CGI because they're doing this whole thing with a giant herd of walkers, uh, kind of making their move towards the town. I don't want to give too much away on that. And in fact, in my review of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I'm not going to try and do too many spoilers because I actually highly recommend this TV series. Um, so I may give like the first couple of minutes to try to and give you a feel. As for the episode and where it heads, like its general direction of the series, at least, in my opinion, where I see it going for the most part, based on not just the first episode, but also the movies that predecessed it. So, um, anyways, let's get back to Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Um, so the first few minutes, um, the scene opens with a trailer out in the middle of nowhere, right? And uh, it's Ash's trailer, and you see him, strapping something down, leather binding, looking thing, tightening it up. Um, you know, look like he's kind of looks like a scene where you see someone gearing up to go kick ass. What ends up happening is it ends up being a girdle uh, to try and make him look skinnier, and he's dressing up to go to the bar and try and pick up women. And the whole time, uh, there's a song playing uh, that actually is amazing for the setup of the series, the setup of the episode. It was. Oh God, I can't think of the song for some odd reason. Purple something. Anyways, so the song setup was amazing. So he goes to the bar and picks up this woman with a BS line about how he saved a kid from certain death, how the kid was stuck in train tracks and pulling the kid out, saving them. He in turn lost his hand, which, if you are in any way familiar with the Evil Dead series of movies, that's actually a lie. What actually happens is in the movies, um, namely the second movie, he goes out to a cabin with his friends and ends up summoning evil uh, by reciting words from the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Now, what ends up happening is his friends and his girlfriend all turn into the Deadites. So they get possessed by these demon things. I don't know exactly how you describe it, but by this evil. And they actually attack Ash. And he ends up having to kill them, right, one by one. But at one point, he gets infected in his hand. So what ends up happening is, having seen what happened to his friends and his girlfriend, he ends up chopping off his own hand at the wrist to avoid turning crazy and attacking people, which, by the way, ends up not working, but somehow working, because he turns evil and attacks somebody who actually comes to the cabin. Um, it's the daughter of one of the characters. It's kind of hard to describe. So there's I forget the name for it, but somebody who studies like ancient cultures and religions and stuff brought this book to the cabin, was translating it and everything else, right? But they were somewhere else when they digged it up initially. So at the dig site, the daughter of that individual or that guy, old man, stayed at the dig site, and he brought it to his cabin and was working on translating it and everything else. Um, then Ash and them end up summoning the evil, and so the daughter, looking for her dad, comes to this cabin, right, where Ash and his friends and everything else were. And at this point, the friends were all crazy and everything else. Well, Ash, like I said, had chopped off his hand and everything else, and was trying not to, have the evil kind of infect him. Um, and that's when the daughter came to the cabin, and then the Ash, kind of going crazy for a little bit, attacked that woman. Ends up gaining his sense back, and returning to normal. Um, so uh, back to Ash vs. the Evil Dead. So he picks up this woman at the bar and gives her that line about saving the kid from the train, while being stuck on the tracks, blah, blah, blah. Well, they end up going into the bathroom and doing the hippity bibbity, you know what I mean. With her kind of bent over the sink, if you will, the bathroom sink. And there being a mirror, up on the wall, right above the sink. Well, he's, how do I do it? How do I say this? He is with her, and is going on about they're going on about their business, and he looks into the mirror and briefly and sees her face turn into one of the Deadites, which scares the crap out of him. So he steps back, and she turns around and completely normal face and everything else, asking him what's going on. Not exactly in those words. And he says that something happened to him that hadn't happened in 30 years, which is kind of a double entendre, having to do with the Evil Dead series, but also kind of poking at the fact that maybe he has erectile dysfunction. This series is really not for kids at all. So I would definitely not let your kids see it. But if you're a Dead fan, definitely see this. So yeah, the story progresses from there. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away. I highly recommend you watch it. But overall, I think it was pretty solid. There are some things that I'm concerned about, but I think will get resolved in later episodes. Mainly has to do with the writing, believe it or not. The movie series is great as far as writing. It has enough campiness and quirk to where it's not overwhelming, but it does add that little, a little bit of humor, a little bit of, like I said, quirkiness to it. This one sometimes kind of tries too hard, I think, because of the success of the predecessing movies. So I think that they need to maybe, and I know this is going to sound weird because the whole thing with the Evil Dead series is that it's over the top, but I think that there's a point where you try too hard, and end up missing the mark. And I think that one or two times it does that. Um, of course, no, series is going to be flawless, but it seemed like they were trying to go in the spirit of the second and third movies, which is Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, respectively. So they throw in these jokes to try and add that little quirky humor to it. And it doesn't feel natural in the series, which I think is the biggest problem. Which, like I said, I mean, it's been 20 years. Jeez, 20 years since the last one, which was Army of Darkness. Uh, and I can understand they're having to jump back into it is kind of a difficult thing to do as far as writing is concerned. The acting was terrific, I think. You know, it's your typical, well, not really typical, because it's kind of a series of its own. There's a reason why it has a cult following, but it has that quirkiness to it, that kind of little jabs at conventional horror movies at times. Uh, just in even the action scenes themselves, uh, which is great. I mean, that's what makes the Evil Dead the Evil Dead. Uh, you know, so that's awesome. Um, and you have these two new characters, which I think fit perfectly into the series. You know, they're young kids, as Ash once was when he went into the cabin in Evil Dead 2. Although it's kind of strange. I don't understand the timeline from 1 to 2 because 1 and 2 have the same person in them, but I guess they're not within the same timeline. I someone would have to explain that to me. But 2 and 3 are definitely the same character as well as the same actor. So you actually see a progression there of the character, the story arc. So this is awesome. The new characters really fit within that. Um, they're, like I said, they're young. They kind of fit into the archetype of sort of what Ash was when he was that age, but bringing a much more modern twist to it. Uh, I oh, uh, I feel like uh, the action scenes were excellent. Uh, it has like I said, the B movie kind of horror aspects to it, which I love. The fact that they're not afraid of a little blood, going a little bit over the top with it, which I love, in these type of horror flicks, and in this case, a series. Uh, and then of course, like I previously mentioned as well, the prosthetics and the much more practical approach to the series as far as makeup and actually creating the characters as looks, not CGI and all that, which is awesome. So overall, I would rate this probably an 8 out of 10. It's very solid. Like I said, no series is perfect. Um, and it does have a little bit of room to grow, but I think that it'll definitely make that uh, progression forward as the series progresses as well. So I hope you liked my review. I know it ran a little bit long. It's like, holy shit, 20 minutes? I guess I went a little more deep into it than I thought I did. This is Brandon, and peace.